Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a truly profound mystery today, one that's deeply rooted in ancient texts and traditions. We're going to unpack exactly why certain dreams have long been considered not just random firing of neurons, but direct, intentional messages from heaven. By digging into ancient Christian traditions and biblical texts, we're going to decode the specific meanings behind 5 sacred dreams. And we'll see why these 5 dreams in particular carry such massive meaning. They aren't just random symbols, right? They actually form a complete step-by-step sequence of spiritual awakening that signals a massive shift is coming in your life.
Look, we all dream, literally every single one of us. But here is the big question. Are your dreams merely the product of a tired mind just processing the daily grind? Or do they hold a deeper, divine purpose that's just waiting to be understood? It's a fascinating concept. The source material we're looking at today strongly suggests that while, yeah, sure, many dreams are just mental static, others are deliberate. They are intentional signals sent to guide us, warn us, and ultimately completely transform us.
So, there's actually a profound difference between your ordinary dreams, the ones born from daytime stress, and divine dreams. According to ancient beliefs, when God wants to bypass our noisy, constantly distracted minds, he speaks in the absolute silence of the night. It makes sense, right? When the world is asleep and our busy intellect is finally quiet, our spirit is most awake. These divine dreams, they aren't meant for simple entertainment. They bring profound peace, they give incredibly clear direction, and they almost always precede major life changes.
Let's get into part 1, awakening and cleansing. These are the first 2 signs, and they're really focused on washing the past away. The very first sacred dream in this specific sequence is the vision of a bright light. Imagine suddenly seeing a blinding, brilliant light in your dream, like whiter than the sun. But instead of feeling fear or covering your eyes, you just feel this overwhelming sense of peace. Early Christians saw this as a definitive sign that God is stepping in to reveal hidden truths. It signifies the end of a long period of confusion and spiritual darkness. It usually happens when someone is feeling incredibly lost, and it's a signal that, finally, clarity has arrived. To really grasp the sheer power of this, we just have to look at the biblical story of the Apostle Paul. Before he was Paul, he was Saul, right? A fierce persecutor of the early church. But on the road to Damascus, he was struck by a blinding heavenly light. Boom! In a single moment, his entire life's trajectory completely shifted. The persecutor became the servant. This just perfectly illustrates the ancient belief that a dream of divine light almost always precedes a massive, life-altering transformation.
Okay, so once clarity arrives through that light, the second phase kicks in. Clean, flowing water. If you dream of standing near a clear river, a waterfall, or even just peaceful, moving water, pay attention because it is highly significant. In this ancient tradition, water isn't just a natural element, it's a deep symbol of the spirit. Seeing clean water signifies that God is washing away years of internal fatigue. It means those heavy burdens you've been dragging around, they're being lifted, and paths that were totally blocked are about to open up for you.
What's really fascinating here is how deeply this actually ties into early church practices. Water was the ultimate symbol of new life, which is exactly why baptism was performed with water. It was all about washing away the old to begin the new. It echoes Christ's promise of offering living water to heal a thirsty soul. So when you have this specific dream, it represents deep inner healing. It is a massive green light that your exhausted spirit is finally being refreshed from the inside out.
Moving on to part 2. Elevation and correction. This is the mysterious and honestly sometimes firm path of discipline. This discipline often manifests in our third dream, which is ascending. Whether you're climbing a seemingly endless flight of stairs, walking up a steep mountain, or maybe even just rising up into the air. In early Christian thought, ascending in a dream is never ever just a coincidence. It's a really powerful sign of spiritual promotion, and it usually shows up right after a period of intense, heavy struggle. When you see yourself moving upward, it indicates that God is elevating your soul to a brand new level of understanding and purpose.
This whole concept is beautifully anchored in the biblical story of Jacob's ladder. Jacob had this wild dream of a ladder reaching all the way from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending on it. And it was right there that God promised to never leave him until his promises were fulfilled. Because of that, dreams of climbing or heights are deeply tied to God keeping his ancient promises to you. He's elevating your identity from exactly where it is right now to where it's truly meant to be.
But look, elevation requires a solid foundation, doesn't it? And this is where we kind of have to shift our perspective for a second. Sometimes divine messages use unsettling or honestly even scary imagery, but it's absolutely crucial to remember that divine warnings are acts of love. They aren't acts of punishment. God will sometimes send a shocking dream to protect us from walking down a destructive path.
Which is exactly why you might experience the fourth sign, seeing, falling, or breaking buildings. Dreaming of a collapsing skyscraper, a bridge snapping in half, or a crumbling brick wall can leave you waking up in a cold sweat with a racing heart. But early Christians viewed this as a totally necessary divine intervention. It's a flashing red warning light to abandon false paths. If a relationship, a career plan, or a big life decision is built on a shaky foundation, this dream is a signal that it cannot stand. You need to pivot before you get hurt. So the bottom line is that things must be built on truth. We see a perfect example of this in the story of King Nebuchadnezzar. He dreamt of this massive, intimidating statue that was just suddenly shattered into a million pieces by a single uncut stone. The lesson there was crystal clear. Human pride and false safety will eventually collapse. God actually allows these weak foundations in our lives to break down in our dreams to save us from a real-world disaster. He breaks down the false just to make room for the true.
All right, part 3, the ultimate peace. This is all about stepping into a brand new calling. That ultimate comfort we're looking for? It arrives in the fifth and final sacred dream, seeing white clothes. Whether you see yourself actually wearing pure white garments, or maybe you just see a figure dressed in white, and you wake up feeling this deep, unshakable peace, let me tell you, this is not an ordinary dream. It's a profound, ancient symbol of purification. It signifies that your guilt, your past mistakes, and all those heavy burdens have been completely wiped away. You are literally being offered a brand new identity.
And this just brilliantly illustrates how the early church practically applied this spiritual truth in real life. Back then, when new believers were baptized, they were physically clothed in white robes. It was a tangible symbol of their washed and pure life. In biblical visions, angels and those who have overcome the world are always seen in white. So dreaming of white clothing, that is the ultimate sign of divine presence, total acceptance, and a totally fresh start. And finally, part 4, answering the call. Let's talk about the specific significance of the year 2026. So, why does understanding the specific sequence of 5 dreams matter so much right now? Well, the texts point toward a very specific timeline approaching the year 2026. For those who actually pay attention to these 5 interconnected signs, some miraculous changes are expected. Old burdens are going to be lifted. Paths that have been stagnant for years will begin to flow like that clean water we talked about. You will be elevated. The things in your life built on false foundations, yeah, they'll collapse, but they will be replaced by unshakable ones. And ultimately, you'll step into a new, peaceful identity. Honestly, it's a massive call for incredible hope. But listen, this requires some action on your part. It can't just wake up, shake it off, and move on with your day. If you experience the light, the water, the ascent, the collapse, or the white garments, here is exactly what ancient practices tell us we need to do. Step 1, do not ignore them. Treat them with respect. Step 2, sit in absolute silence and pray. Just calm your mind. And step 3, directly ask, what are you trying to show me? Seek that understanding, and then just wait for the quiet answer in your spirit. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this one thought to just kind of ponder today. Look back at your recent nights. Think about the silent messages you might have just brushed off as mere imagination. Based on these 5 sequential signs, this entire journey of awakening we just walked through, which path is being shown to you right now? Are you being cleansed, elevated, warned, or called to peace? Keep your eyes open, keep your spirit awake, and never, ever underestimate the power of a dream. Thanks so much for joining me on this incredible exploration.